show Late Nights with Lauren. This is Shira.
Hey, it's so great to be here.
So Shira, tell us a little bit about yourself. You were born in Guyana.
Yes, a small village in Guyana. For as small a village as it was, I was very successful. I went to secretarial school and I married a successful man named Doogie. Our small village was a bit infuriated by us, to be quite honest. We were an interreligious couple, I Muslim and he Hindi. We were very openly in love. After being disowned by my mother, Doogie and I moved to the city where Doogie was a professor. I was so happy just to follow in his footsteps, to experience everything he wanted to experience. But as a political activist, Doogie had a target on his back. We were very unsafe. An opposing political party was after him. I picked up my entire life and moved with him to Canada, into his Aunt Madu's house, where everything changed. There, I grew into myself, into my own woman. I rose out of my husband's shadow. I pursued a degree. I worked for a living. I got my license. Doogie, on the other hand, was struggling as he was unable to get a work permit as a professor, and he was so overqualified for the only careers he could have. He didn't like this. He thought I was projecting my anger towards all men solely onto him, using our marriage to test out my activism. While things looked up, I repaired my relationship with my mother, who was experiencing relationship troubles in parallel to mine. My father had cheated on her and beaten her, unhappy with the white woman he believed she had become. Doogie disagreed with their eventual divorce, which showed his true colors to me. He insisted that even wife beaters could change, and went even farther to say that my feminism was an outlandish belief that women couldn't rely on men. Our relationship slowly slipped through the cracks after that. One minute we were civil, and the next I was looking at divorce papers.
Well, I think you've covered it all, Shira. Let's start from the very beginning, where the two of you first met.
As I said before, Doogie had been a professor of mine. Everyone in our town knew him to be very intelligent. I began speaking to him every day on the ferry, and I was so fascinated. I waited so long for him to take an interest in me, and when our relationship began, I was head over heels in love. I thought everything he said was so important. I wanted to like the things he liked and do the things he wanted to do. I admired him.
What made Doogie so intelligent? What drew people to him?
It just seemed as though he knew everything. Like there was always so much to learn from him in any given conversation. It's weird now to look back on how infatuated I was. I mean, no one could tell me any different. We were so in love, always holding hands, kissing each other, a lot of public affection, and that was something very much against the social norms of our small village.
After leaving Doogie's parents' house, the two of you moved to the city, right?
Yes, and life was so wonderful for a while. We had our own place, our own life, together, and finally.
But you didn't stay there long, correct? In the new city?
Correct. Queenstown was wonderful, but there were other factors at play. Doogie was very much involved politically in Guyana, an activist of sorts. But his activism created much tension, and eventually we were in too much danger to stay in Guyana anymore.
Were you angry at Doogie for putting you into danger?
Not at all. Doogie was so passionate about politics, he loved it. I felt involved with him. He took me to political gatherings, Hindi movies, the Gandhi Youth Haven. We were always doing something, and I was always following his lead. We enjoyed our life there, and I couldn't believe he had picked me to be the person he shared his life with. Life ran so smoothly for so long.
Until you got to Canada, right?
Until we got to Canada. We moved in with his Aunt Madu, her husband, and her two younger daughters. The move to Canada was what tore us apart in the end, or rather, how the move affected us as people.
How did the move affect you as a person?
In Guyana, I felt I had no purpose. I was Doogie's wife, and that was pretty much it. Women's education is not exactly a priority where I come from. And although I went to secretarial school, I never really found myself doing anything of importance until coming to Canada. Doogie's aunt's independence was something I had never gotten to experience in a woman before, and honestly, I craved the same independence.
And Doogie didn't like that, correct?
He didn't. He didn't really know how to react. He had always been the important one in our relationship, the one with all the power, and now he was powerless. He couldn't get his permit to work as a professor at first, and was seemingly overqualified for most jobs. And my starting job paid more than his, which was something that did not please him in the slightest.
Why is that?
Like I said, he just didn't know how to react. It was such a new situation for him, Lauren, and to be not the dominant man in charge. I got my license before him. I began working before him on a women's studies degree. I took care of his aunt's children. Me, I had a purpose. I had interests and aspirations. He wasn't thriving in that same way that I was.
Do you blame him for the lack of support, or do you have any hard feelings towards him because of this?
I can't. At times I found myself so angry. Even though I had the busier schedule, the higher paying job, he still expected me to perform what he considered to be my normal womanly duties. Cooking dinner, washing dishes, doing laundry. He didn't want to be bothered. He didn't see that to be his responsibility.
If you could assimilate so well and so successfully into your new Canadian society, why couldn't he?
Back in Guyana, Dookie had a purpose. He was a professor, an activist, a writer, and someone others looked up to. I had never known that kind of purpose before coming to Canada, and after feeling that once, I don't believe he could ever let it go.
You mentioned earlier on that you chose to pursue a degree in women's studies. What inspired you to do so?
Dookie's Aunt Madhu. The women I knew before her back in Guyana were reserved and sheltered because they'd been brought up that way and conditioned to act as such. Madhu was independent. She did what she wanted, and I wanted that. I wanted that for me, and I wanted that for all women.
And Dookie didn't?
Dookie was not pleased with my decision to pursue the degree. I think my growing empowerment and independence really threatened him. I was gone long hours learning about gender roles and their adverse effects in society, and came home to a man who expected me to make him dinner and tuck him into bed just because I was his wife, a woman.
Do you consider yourself to be a feminist?
100%. Women are equal to men, and that's all there is to it, in my opinion. Dookie's opinion, on the other hand, was much more select. He believed that while women should be equal, that they never would be, that men were inherently more dominant creatures. He thought my feminism meant I believed myself too powerful to rely on a man for anything, and this intimidated him greatly.
And that's ultimately what led you to the end of your marriage, correct?
Like I said, things looked up for a while. I repaired my relationship with my mother after getting word from my brother that my parents' relationship was failing. It was for a similar reason, too. My parents had moved to New York by this time. My mother had assimilated into American society as I had into Canadian society. My father did not like this new white woman he thought her to be.
Do you think the influence of religion was what kept Dookie and your father from allowing you and your mother to become independent?
It was a contributing factor, yes. In both the Muslim and Hindu religions, men are traditionally seen as the heads of the family. They were raised to be the more educated, higher earners, and the dominant figures. At that point, we just wanted different things. Dookie wanted the traditional life and family. He didn't want a debate. He wanted to be listened to.
Did you initiate the end of your relationship?
I didn't, no. For a few months near the end, we lived in peace. We lived civilly despite the impending doom. We had once been a match made in heaven, but I was different now.
And he wasn't?
Dookie pretty much remained the same man the whole time I knew him. Brilliant, inquisitive, challenging, and stubborn. But in the end, he couldn't do it. He called our relationship my testing ground for feminism.
Do you think your relationship would have survived if you guys would have stayed in Guyana?
Maybe. I definitely couldn't have pursued the same women's studies. I couldn't have gotten my license or had a higher paying job than my husband. I mean, these things inspired my independence. What I can tell you is that I would have never been happy. I would have been in denial about my place in society, having never found my purpose.
Thanks for being on my show. I loved hearing your story.
I loved sharing it with you.